Hey there, all you filthy heathens. This is Kirk coming at you again. I got a great show for you today. Really quick, we're going to go over two topics today. Number one is going to be January 6th, 2021, how it was not as big a deal as everyone made it out to be. It was bad, but not that bad. And then the second one, we're going to go over what's happening here in the U.S. We have a lot of schools that decided to close because of the surge in Omicron. I'm going to go over why that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. So let's go ahead and get started today. Today is the 1-year anniversary of the storming of the Capitol here in the U.S. And the day it happened, I was at work. I remember hearing about it. And like always, I saw what was going on the news, and obviously it was, made to be much bigger than it was. So I immediately was like, what is going on here? What the fuck? This cannot be happening. It's like, there's been contested elections in the past. They didn't result in the storming of the Capitol and, assaulting police officers and things like that. So I was not happy at all, especially since I had voted for Trump, and, this was not helping his case that the election was stolen, which I've gone over in previous videos. I don't think the election was stolen the way Trump thinks it was stolen. I think it was stolen legally. I think it was done everything kind of by the book, how things are supposed to be done. I don't think everything was on the up and up. I think COVID allowed people and judges especially to go ahead and play fast and loose with election laws, and they got away with it. It is what it is. But it was a legal election, and it went against Trump. Didn't go my way. I wasn't happy about it, but it was what it was. But I was not happy about it on January 6th. The more that came out about January 6th, the more I realized that it was a riot, but there was a lot of fishiness going on with that riot. First of all, there were videos of people instigating crowds to go into the Capitol. This was happening the night before. There were the same people that were trying to instigate the night before were there at the barriers, saying, "Hey, kind of telling people, hey, you guys should just go in." Those same people have not been arrested. They have not been called to testify in front of the January 6th committee. That's some shady shit, especially since we know that there are people who were there and were rightfully arrested for trespassing. They've been sitting in jail. They haven't been allowed to shower on a regular basis. They haven't been allowed to shave. They haven't been allowed. There's a lot of things they have not been allowed to do that rapists and murderers get to in other prisons. And these people are still sitting in prison. It's been a year later. They have not been charged with insurrection. They have not been charged with anything that even remotely is, something that you would hold them in solitary confinement for. They've been basically charged with trespassing. And I don't know what is going on with that, but there is a lot. We basically have political prisoners here in the U.S., and it revolves around January 6th of last year. But the reality is that they keep making it out to be this huge, crazy thing. But you can see in this picture that, if this is storming the Capitol, well, why is everybody lined up nice and orderly, staying inside the velvet rope? It doesn't make any sense. Next thing, if you want to see other things here, compare it to what happened when we were trying to confirm Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. You had the same thing happened, but this time it was the Women's March. There's a bunch of left-wing feminist nut jobs going in and doing pretty much the same thing, shutting down proceedings. The Capitol Police had to get involved. Nothing happened to them. There was no issue there. So the reality is that this was not a big deal. It was not as big a deal as it made it out to be. Everybody that trespassed should have gotten a fine, or if there is a prison time for it. Should have all been arrested. Okay, go on your way. But no, they've made this out to be something that it's not, which is an insurrection. You want to see a legit insurrection? Go and find out what's going on in Kazakhstan right now. What's going on in Kazakhstan right now is legit overthrowing of the government. So now, based on what I know about Kazakhstan, I have no sympathy for anybody that is anybody in that government at all. So I don't know if the people overthrowing the government are good guys, but I know that I don't have any sympathy for that government, to be honest. So that's basically it. So January 6th, not that big a deal. The only thing that the only terrorist attack that January 6th was a bigger deal than was the attack on Nakatomi Plaza. That's really it. And if you don't get that reference, go watch Die Hard. It's a great Christmas movie. You missed out. So there's that. January 6th, not a big deal. I don't know why it's being commemorated at all. If you want to see what my thoughts are on it, I've been tweeting about it all day. It's at Heathen Kirk on Twitter. Keep an eye out for that very soon. I might have some news. I'm thinking about jumping on Getter. I'm not sure yet. I have heard some things. I want to see how they handle this influx of new people before I jump on Getter, because I was ready to jump onto Parler and that they weren't prepared for Amazon, chopping them out at the knees. They weren't prepared for a lot of things that were coming their way. And I want to make sure Getter doesn't have those same issues. Also, Getter has banned some people, and I have an idea of what kind of person should be banned. I believe they banned Nick Fuentes, and he's a dumbass. He's not great. I don't know why anybody listens to him or follows him or anything, but but being a dumbass shouldn't get you deleted from a social media platform. Also, even being a racist shouldn't get you deleted from a social media platform. So if you think he's a racist, okay, but he's not calling for... I've never heard him call for violence against anybody. All he does is make a lot of ignorant, stupid statements. I'm sorry, but being a stupid idiot is your God-given right. It's your free speech right to be a moron. That's fine. And I think the more that we allow people like him on platforms, the more sunlight gets put on him, and the more we can kind of disinfect people like him from serious discussion and serious conversation. So keep a lookout. I'm thinking about getting a Getter account. I haven't decided on it yet, but in the meantime, I'm probably more active on Twitter right now. So at Heathen Kirk on Twitter, check that out. But that's number one. Like I said, January 6th, not a big deal. It was a protest that got out of hand. There was a few select people that made it get out of hand. Those people should be in jail. They should have to spend their time, pay their fines, and then that's it. But there was a lot of people that were just kind of following the crowd because there was 250,000 people there protesting. What do you expect? They say, oh, I guess we're going in. Are we allowed to go in? Well, the Capitol Police are letting us in, so I guess this is okay. And they tracked down a grandma from Alaska who was just in the Capitol and thought she was okay to go in there. So that's so this was a much bigger deal than it should have been. So anything that you guys have heard about January 6th, it's mostly bullshit. So just keep that in mind. So the main thing I want to talk about though today, something that something that should really affect your life, is school closures. So it's one thing when schools close because of bad weather, or maybe I don't know, a sewage line burst at the school. When I was doing my student teaching back in the day, one of the transformers on the school campus exploded, and there was a huge fire. So obviously the next day was like a teacher work day. All the students stayed home. So that is something that happens. I get it for closing like that. But what's going on in Chicago right now and in other select areas in the country is that the teachers' unions have decided they're not calling it a strike. but it's effectively a strike. They're not going back to in-school teaching because of Omicron. Now, I've said this in my last 2 videos. Omicron ain't shit. It is nothing. It is absolutely 100% a cold. All right? It is. I've had colds that were worse than my bout with Omicron. Okay? So it's done. It's over. Let people go back to school. Let these kids go back to school. We've already ruined their education enough over the last 2 years with a lot of these distance learnings things. I'm fine with some kind of virtual learning experience, but no, there is a certain structure that people get to, that people have to have. And especially kids, they need to have a certain structure to their day. And it might just be me, but I remember being in junior high and high school, being a boy, that kind of structure is huge. So, I mean, ladies, let me know if that kind of structure was a bigger deal for you. But I remember if I didn't have some sort of structure on what I was doing for the day, I was kind of lost at that age. So I really hope that these teachers unions are going to get back to school, because what it sounds like is that they basically voted like, we want to just take another week off right now, and that's not right. What I think every governor in this country should do right now, if their teachers, especially the teachers unions, try to say we are not coming back to school until this Omicron surge is over, or they take extra measures, or they go back to virtual learning or something like that. Any governor out there should be doing this thing. What they should do is, since you want to use COVID, you want to use the state of emergency as your way to get out of doing your job as teachers, which is educating our kids. You are state employees. You work for the state. Those people work for the parents. You want to get out of teaching? Fine. Every governor, what they should do is very simple. Use the state of emergency and say, fine, we are going to implement a school choice program. So the tax dollars we are using to fund your kid to go to school, we are going to give you a portion of that. And you can send them to a private school, at least for this semester, for the next 3 months or 4 months, however long the school year is. So we're in January, January, February, March, April, May, so 5 months. The next 5 or 6 months, you want to send your kid to a different school? In this state, we spend $10,000 a year on your kid's education. That's $5,000 every 6 months. You're going to get $5,000. Take your kid to a private school, or maybe a different public school. Maybe the teachers unions at that other school decided not to close down. Take your kid to that school. Go ahead. Whatever it is, I think that every governor, especially every Republican governor, because you've been touting school choice for a long time, go ahead and fight like hell. Go ahead and use the tactics that Democrats use to get their way. Go ahead and do it. Oh, you want to be, what? We're going to act like Gavin Newsom. We're going to abuse our power under these states of emergency, and we're going to say, what, because of COVID, because of this surge in Omicron, we're declaring a state of emergency so we can implement school choice programs. We're going to give that money to parents. They can send their kid to whatever school they want, as long as that school follows certain state requirements. There you go. It's done. It's over. Those teachers unions and those teachers will have their asses back in class by the start of the next day. Guaranteed. So there are solutions to this. It is absolutely ridiculous that it's for Chicago. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous that these kids are not in school right now. Omicron is not a threat to anybody. As far as I know, it has killed less than 10 people. Omicron has not killed more than 10 people as far as I know. And I think most everybody that has died from it, they died with Omicron. They did not die from Omicron. So that's the numbers I'm reading recently. If you have updated information, please post it in the comments. I'd love to see it. But that's really all I have for you today. January 6th, not a big deal. And your school should be open. There should be no mask mandates. There should be no anything in schools. Your kids need to be in school and they need to be educated. And if you can't, I really recommend if your school districts are doing this, pull your kids out. And if you can, homeschool your kids. My wife and I are discussing whether or not we're going to send our son next year to a private school, which we're going to try to figure out how to come up with the money, or if we're going to homeschool him. So we're not 100% sure yet, but by as much as you can, get your kids out of those schools if your schools are playing games like they are in Chicago right now. So that's all I got for you today. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, I am at Heathen Kirk on Twitter. If you want to support my work, filthyheathens.locals.com. And like I said, I'm considering getting a Getter account. If you're someone that's on Getter, let me know. Let me know in the comments if I should get a Getter account. In the meantime, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys later. Thanks, everyone.